Coach, how are you? Vamos Vols.
Doing well. Vamos Vols is something that we're always excited to see.
Man, you know what? I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate the support that you've been showing us from day one. Hey, I just got done talking to Manny and his mother, Gabriela. It's her birthday, and one of the things that she told me that she specified the most was the relationship that she has with the staff. And you know my type of questions, man. How special is it to not just build that relationship with the players, but also with their families?
It's important. I mean, if you want to have a good group, I mean, obviously we're all seeking out success, but you also want people to be happy with their experience here. And unfortunately, human nature ties everybody into happiness being outcomes. My son struck the most guys out. My son hit the most homers, but I think when you build those relationships, you start to have a little perspective that there's a little more to it. And then also, everyone will have success and be happy if those relationships or bonds are as tight as you want them to be. And it just takes time. I mean, it takes good people, which we have a lot of, but it takes extra time. I mean, whether it's Coach Bonfield, Coach Elander, Ricky Ross. I mean, those guys are not Rick Ross, but Ricky Martinez and Ross. But it's a taxing deal, and you have to take away time from your family or maybe some fun stuff you'd like to do. But I think that sacrifice pays off for Q, Beth, all of our staff, building those bonds and those relationships. And I think that's what gets our guys to get through a day like today, because I made a couple dumb mistakes, in my opinion. We made a couple mistakes on defense. I mean, the first and third thing, if I'm a fan, it doesn't look like we ever practice it, which we do. But you know what? When you keep fighting and you battle through, good things happen. And Dylan Loy was our best battler today, but the whole group battled their way to a win.
Knowing how good that team is over there, what's that say about the story you guys had this weekend in conference play?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys were eager to play at home. I think it's been 2 times out of a decade that we've been able to start SEC play at home. So it's unique and rare, and the guys realize how beneficial it is. But also, we said it last Sunday, they didn't look like themselves, and I think a lot of it was this was looming and they were looking forward to it, which is dangerous to look beyond anything, but also it's understandable. We get 15, 16 games under our belt. These guys are eager to. So I think it was a lot of eagerness and antsiness and excitement, which can be dangerous or it can be good. And these guys are mature enough, even though young pups, they used it for their benefit or for good.
You talked about Dylan, just how valuable was his relief outing today?
It was massive, and it all started with yesterday. Reese Chapman hits that ball, so Dylan Loy doesn't come in the game. Otherwise, he would have. So, it's kind of. You also would have liked to get some guys their first SEC at bat or inning. So it kind of works 2 different ways, and sometimes it can help you, sometimes it can hurt you, and it's worked 2 different ways for us too. I mean, Georgia, I think last year beat the living hell out of us on Friday, but we don't have to finish the game with our pitchers, so we save some pitching and it helps us win the next 2 days. I mean, it's interesting. It adds a little quirk to the weekend. It's almost like if you were a boxer, me and you were going at it. I don't know who would win, but if you were winning the round, it's almost like me just saying, okay, I want to take this round. We're done. I'm going to sit down on my stool. So it worked out in our favor this time is my point.
We talked about the team battling. What did you see when Florida takes the lead? Any change in demeanor at all?
Yeah, because it was frustrating the way that it went down. I mean, the ball was dancing like crazy. So their right fielder makes that catch 99 times out of 100. Our right fielder, same thing. Jay's play was probably the most difficult of all of them. I think part of the problem was Dean and Reese had a chance to catch and then throw after. So that's just my perspective. And then the first and third was mishandled poorly. So it's one thing to give up runs, but it's another thing to how we got there. It was a walk and not making a catch and not making a catch. But also you have to look at the flip side. Like you mentioned, Florida's talent. They were lacing balls at our guys that were dancing in the wind. So it was a wacky inning. You got to regroup. Our players need to not pay attention to me when I get too emotional from that situation and just keep fighting, because 9 innings is a long time. And just as you saw there at the end, Florida's within striking distance because they're battling too. So 9 innings is a marathon, and you got to make sure you last the distance.
Well, to me, for your closer, Nate Snead, being a guy that can go 3 innings, he did it, I believe, Friday, and he did 2 innings today. He doesn't have to be a 3-out guy. What does that mean to you?
Right. No, it's huge, and I think he's too valuable to even label our closer, but that's what he was this weekend because of the way the situations popped up. But the only reason he was able to do that on 2 different days was because of his efficiency with his pitches. Reminds me of the old great Zach Lingenfelter, one of the best outings he ever had here when was when he was limited to pitch count, and he knew it. So it's just the efficiency was there. So long story short, Nate put himself in a good position to be able to be used today, and that was about as much as you'd want to get out of him. We had a couple guys hot down there in the pen, and Breedlove and Combs and a few other guys will have to wait for their first chance at the SEC, but I bet they'll be chomping at the bit when they get it.
What'd you see from Tegan, and just was the plan always for him to go through the lineup once?
There wasn't any one specific plan, but I thought he was as composed as he was against Arizona. Stuff was even a little better. I don't know, maybe he watched that kid from them yesterday and said, this guy's a freshman and he's dealing. I want my chance to go out there. But whatever it was, the stuff was a little bit better, and the presence was even better than it was at Arizona. You knew we were going to get their best punch today, so for him to go out and do what he did was outstanding.
I feel like Reese Chapman, well, obviously he had kind of the dagger today with his home run, and then he walked off the game yesterday. When I look at his career trajectory, he gets better, I feel like, with more at-bats. What do you see out of him so far?
Yeah, I mean, he's our favorite type of guy. We started 4 freshmen in the lineup today, so that's cool too. That helps recruiting. It's exciting for the future, but I think our staff's favorite player is a Trey Lipscomb or a Jarrell Ortega or Reese Chapman or a Kavaris Tears or Jared Dickey, and there's pitching examples too. But those guys that progress each year and continue to get better on an incline, and then you hope they move forward into pro ball and continue that incline. So he's been a great teammate. He's been patient in the dugout, but eager in here with work ethic, and it's his time. And that's kind of how he's been acting the entire year. And it's also kind of his team. We got a bunch of leaders, but so he's been acting the way that you expected and wanted, and also you've seen from guys like Beck and KT and others that have been out there before him. See, Scott?
Sorry. I was going to say, what made you go to Cannon in the 5th, and then obviously what did you see from his double there in the 6th?
It's tough decision coming to the park because you trust both those guys. But I got to be honest with you, the wind was kind of the factor. Me, you, or Sean hit a pop-up to left field, it might go out. And then as BP ended, it changed a little bit, but you could still get it out if you get it down the line. The problem is there's a guy named Clemente throwing the ball, and our guys couldn't really do much. But Stone did take advantage of his at-bat, and he made us look smart. But the plan kind of going into the game was to kind of split it between the two. And you knew the guy they were going to finish the game with at some point was Phil Pott. And so Cannon, at the very least, was going to get a crack at him. We just decided earlier with what we were looking at to go with it. But that guy's going to be a headache for a lot of teams. Hopefully not for us again. But he's going to be a headache for teams late in the game. So that was kind of the plan.
What is Stone giving you guys defensively right now, and just how effective he's been throwing out runners?
Everything you want. There's a calm out there. There's a, I think that there's a real good rapport between him and our pitchers. They respect him, like him, and therefore it makes him better defensively. I think it's a good lesson learned for a lot of kids, and it doesn't just have to be a battery example, pitcher, catcher, but he gives you everything you want because he can handle Frank and handle me yelling and Coach E's giving instructions. We got high standards around here, so there's a lot getting thrown at you, and he manages it very well with composure, plays the game great teammate, and then you get some offense every now and then. And obviously, he and Cannon have both been known as hitters before catchers, but I think they came to the right place because Coach E's developed them into it almost as defensive first catchers, which it should be when you play a position like that. Offense is a bonus, and it was a really nice bonus for both those guys today.
How do you carry this momentum going into next week with ETSU coming in here on Tuesday and then heading down for your first SEC road series of the week?
It's spring break, so I think the key is for them to not end up, in Puerto Vallarta or any place like that. We got to keep them here, and baseball guys love to try and even out the tan lines when they get a chance, but you have no chance at doing that. You'll spend too many days at the park. So I think it's be at the park, be prepared, and then realize this week is probably for a group that claims they like challenges. You better be careful what you ask for, or I shouldn't say that. You should be excited about what you ask for because it's here. It's a shortened week with us having to go to Tuscaloosa first, but before that is an in-state opponent, ETSU, that is having a phenomenal year. So our guys need to take advantage of the fact we don't have class and be at the park and be focused and realize that this is their greatest challenge yet, is what's ahead of them.